But I'm busy one hand now. Might I ask our city attorney, Lois Schultz, just we're a little configured differently in here today. I just want her to give y'all an overview in terms of state guidelines for meeting. And we do have one alderman remotely. Just an explanation for how we're configured tonight.
All right.
Please.
Mayor Bullen, thank you for calling me for this. I did not learn until just a few moments ago that there was any concern about this, but under Mayor Bullen's request, we had moved to a format for the meeting that apparently not been undertaken anywhere else in the state. And she had requested as one of her first things that we allow individuals to appear remotely, to look at this meeting virtually, as we have been doing for quite some time. And then we also have the meeting open. And of course, the repeated executive orders from the governor's office have allowed us for some time to meet with following open meetings, relaxation of those guidelines, so that in concern for not being in too close proximity, not having large crowds together, that we can meet virtually and various members and participants come in through, I guess, the magic of the internet and Zoom and all these things we've had to learn about this year. But late today, we received information that in that type of format, where we're doing something different than anybody else in the state's done so far, that one member of the board should not be present in the same meeting room. So we have one member of the board appearing virtually, and the remainder of the board here in the room. And of course, if this meeting has been made open for participants to come in, but there are also folks who perhaps will want to participate virtually as well. So that's how we're set up today. And I just thought I'd give a little summary of that at Mayor Bullen's request, so that everyone would know that we're on the cutting edge here in Unicoi. So we'll dig into it a little bit more, but that's what we know so far.
Thank you. Sure. Thank you. Okay. Debbie Bennett, it is my pleasure to have you step up and let's give you the oath of office. I, Debbie Bennett, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States,
Protect and preserve the Constitution of the United States.
the laws and the Constitution of the state of Tennessee.
Did I form my name?
They don't matter. I just was making it easy for you.
Okay.
The laws and the Constitution of the state of Tennessee,
The laws and the Constitution of the state of Tennessee.
and the ordinances and regulations
And the ordinances and regulations
of the town of Unicoi,
of the town of Unicoi,
Tennessee,
Tennessee,
to the best of my ability as alderman.
to the best of my ability as alderman.
Gosh, that was my first official act as mayor.
I'm glad I was the recipient.
Okay, now I would like to give the oath of office to Mr. Cooper. Please obey. I, Roger Cooper, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially preserve, impartially preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the laws and the Constitution of the state of Tennessee,
the laws and the Constitution of the state of Tennessee,
and the ordinances and regulations of the town of Unicoi.
and the ordinance and regulations of the state of Tennessee.
Regularly.
Okay.
To the best of my ability as
To
alderman.
the best of my ability.
You got hot in here. You got hot in here really fast. Okay. Now, Ms. Kessler, would you like to make a roll call?
Yes. Alderman Bennett,
Yes.
Alderman Cooper,
Yes.
Alderman Radford,
Yes.
Mayor Bullen.
Yes. So you have attendance. Okay. Okay. Now, number 8 on our agenda is nomination and board consideration for an alderman to serve the unexpired term of my term, ending in November 2022. And I believe there may be a motion from the floor.
I will nominate Judy Ray.
Okay, we've received a motion. Is there a second?
Don't require a second.
That doesn't require a second. You sure don't? Okay, we're good. No second. All right, then we have a motion for Judy Ray to fulfill the completed term for alderman.
You would call to see if there are other nominations.
Oh, other nominations. Any other nominations? Excuse me. Seeing none, we will proceed with a vote that Judy Ray be installed to complete the term that I am leaving vacant as alderman, which ends in November 2022. Any further discussion? Call for a vote.
Alderman Bennett,
Yes.
Alderman Cooper,
Yes.
Alderman Radford,
Yes.
Mayor Bowling.
Yes. Okay, with that passing, Ms. Judy Ray, if you would like to step up, let's get you out of the office. Raise your right hand. I, Judy Ray,
I, Judy Ray,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly
that I
swear
will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
protect, preserve, and defend
preserve and defend
the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution of the United States,
the laws and the Constitution of the State of Tennessee,
the laws and the Constitution of the State of Tennessee,
and the ordinances and regulations of the town of Unicoi,
and the ordinances and the laws of the State of Tennessee, the town of Unicoi,
to the best of my ability as alderman.
to the best of my ability as alderman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I had a suggestion.
Yes.
Since we have one board member participating remotely and not in the same room as the others, it might be best for us to go back to our format on the roll call of having a response. It says I can see participants and I can hear participants. We kind of need that to show on.
That's fine.
We're doing that.
That's fine. Okay, let me interject that. We're going to make deviate slightly from the original agenda to acknowledge the fact that since we are having virtual participation in tonight's meeting, that we are going to go back in compliance with a guideline that we had followed prior when doing virtual, and that is with a roll call that each alderman will say at the roll call, I can see participants, I can hear participants. Okay, so we're going to back a step up, and that with our virtual alderman, we need to make sure that we can see and hear. So for each of us, Ms. Kessler will call the roll, and if you are able to see and hear, that is what you will need to say. I can see participants, I can hear participants. Okay? Ready?
Okay. Alderman Bennett,
I can see participants, I can hear participants.
Alderman Cooper,
I can see and hear participants.
Alderman Radford,
I can see participants. I can hear participants.
Alderman Ray,
I can see participants, I can hear participants.
Mayor Bowling.
I can see participants and I can hear participants. Thank you. I think that puts us in good standing. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Next we go to nomination and board consideration for vice mayor. I, as the mayor, would like to nominate Roger Cooper as vice mayor to serve alongside my mayorship. So I've made that motion. Do we need a second? No second is needed.
Same process as our leader call for the nomination.
Okay, so the nomination before the floor is that Roger Cooper would take on the role of being vice mayor, aligned with me then as mayor. So any discussion? Ms. Kessler, would you call for the vote?
For the record, would you call for other nominations?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Any other nominations for vice mayor? Hearing none, Ms. Kessler, would you call for a vote
Alderman Bennett,
for Roger to be vice
So
mayor?
Roger, I just say yes, yes, that's right, okay.
Alderman Cooper,
Yes.
Alderman Redford,
Yes,
Alderman Ray,
Yes.
Mayor Boyd.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Now there is an oath of office for vice mayor.
Again,
Yeah. You can say it. It is on it. Okay. I, Roger Cooper,
I, Roger Cooper,
solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I possess all the qualifications
that I possess all the qualifications
prescribed for the office of vice mayor
prescribed for the office of vice mayor
as prescribed by this charter,
as prescribed by the charter,
and that I will support the Constitution
and I will support the Constitution,
and I will obey the laws of the United States
and I will obey the laws of the United States
and of the state of Tennessee,
and of the state of Tennessee,
that I will in all respects
and I will in all respects
observe the provisions of the charter
observe the provisions of the charter
and ordinances of the town of Unicoi,
and ordinances of the town of Unicoi,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully,
discharge the duties of the office of vice mayor.
that I will discharge the duties of the office of mayor, vice mayor.
Vice mayor, thank you.
Taking your job.
Sorry, kind of just going on. Okay, thank you, Roger.
This is getting hot. Oh, wait.
All right, okay. Now we get to the more traditional portions of our meeting, and you should have in your packets minutes from the October 19th BMA meeting. I hope you've had a chance to look over those. Once you feel comfortable with that, I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I make a motion for the approval of the
Second.
minutes.
Second.
Thank you, Wanda. Debbie Bennett, second. We have on the floor approval of the October 19th BMA meeting minutes. Any discussions or comments about those minutes?
Question. Go ahead.
You okay?
Yeah.
Okay, call for the question for approval. You ready?
Alderman Bennett,
Sorry. Bennett,
Call for the question?
I called for the question. That means the vote. We're
Oh,
gonna
okay,
vote.
yes. Y'all are confusing me with what you're
That's
trying
okay.
to say.
I got it.
I can see and I can hear. and
Okay. Okay,
Alderman Redford,
Yes,
Alderman Ray,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Boyd.
yes. Okay, thank you. Number 13 on our agenda tonight was some special presentations. And due to some unavailability of participants, we're going to postpone that. And hopefully everyone will be able to attend at our next meeting in December. So number 14 now, we get to citizen comments. As mayor, I wanted to tweak some of how we receive citizen comments. There are 3 methods of citizens having the opportunity to speak. This will remain in place. If a citizen would like to take one of these, they will always be available on the front table. If you're physically in the building, you just write your name and address, and then you will be called on to speak. Virtually, anyone who is listening in virtually, if you will raise your virtual hand, you will be called on. And if you have sent anything by email or message or dropped it off at the town, we will respond to those as well. Citizens will be given 3 minutes, and we have a trusty little egg timer here. So in the ding dings, the 3 minutes is complete, and then your time for comments will be concluded. I want the citizen comments to be early in our meeting, and that is where we are right now. So if there is a citizen who would like to make a comment, I invite you to do so. Is there anyone in the room that would like one of these? No takers on one of these?
And I do have one.
Oh, you do have one, okay. Okay, so we'll read the comment from the room here first and let that citizen comment, and then we'll go virtual. Okay.
I'm gonna take my mask down just a little bit so y'all can hear me. My name is Billie Jean Mull, and I live at 131 Pine Hill Road. First, congratulations to each one of you for being elected
Thank you.
to represent all the people, all in caps, of Unicoi and not self-serving. We moved here a little over 6 years ago. I have lived all over the United States and in foreign countries. Born only 500 yards from a coal mine in Hardin County, Kentucky. I then moved to Orlando, which became a large metropolitan after the rat moved there. Pay was horrible. I made $7 to $8 an hour as a nurse. Yeah, it was bad. And it was hard to find a job because nobody would hire. We moved here from Fort Lee, Virginia, United States Army military base right outside of Richmond, another big town. We are ready for peace and quiet. I've been with the history group since we arrived here. I have worked as a volunteer, putting in more than 100 hours a year at the center and other places. I heard that some people want to make this like Asheville. I hope not. I lived there for over 8 years. And believe me, we chose here instead of going back to Asheville as much as we love Asheville. Reason, high taxes, a weekend as a mayor, and property values untouchable. If you want to live in a big city, move to one. Don't mess with this one. Also, I do not want to see the cabin and the buffalo room open to the public and let it be shot up like the gun range at on Scioto. We encourage everyone to wear a mask. It's the only way, as nurses, we know they can stop this. We've already learned how to wash our hands in the beginning of it. So it is only the way we can beat this virus. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the floor here? No? Okay, virtual?
One comment from Charlene.
Yes, I have a question for at the forum. You all supported the kitchen. So I have two questions. One for the mayor. I'd like to know, if you do support the kitchen, why are you making phone calls to find out how to disband the kitchen? And I want full disclosure here. And in the transparency we've been hearing about, I'd like to know why Roger Cooper is asking for information from the kitchen. So if you could, both of you could answer that, that would be great.
Charlene, I'll be glad to sit and have a meeting with you and we can talk about your comments and how unfounded they are. So we'd be glad to have a meeting. We can sit with the kitchen committee. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. And we'll open all that up and we can go from there. So I appreciate your concern and we need to do that. We need to do that. So we'll get that together. And I think
so basically you're not going to answer the question.
I don't want to debate you.
Okay.
I want this meeting to be, I'm inviting you to have a meeting with me. Would you like to sit down and have a meeting?
Sure.
Okay.
I'd like for it to be public. I'd like for the comments to be public because that's what you ran on, public. We were going to be fully transparent. Remember?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's see it.
Well, I'll be glad to meet with you. Thank you for your comments. Okay. Anybody else? Virtual.
Well, she had a question for me and I'll be glad to answer it. We have on the agenda tonight a consideration approval of item 19F for a new cooler for the kitchen, and I'm trying to get information on the kitchen since I've been out of the loop for over 2 years. So that's why I asked questions, Charlene.
Okay, any other virtual comments? No other virtual comments. Ms. Kessler, was anything else brought in?
No.
Okay, so that concludes citizen comments. Thank you for those comments, and they will all be taken into consideration. Okay, old business, there is an ordinance number 2020-279 that has to do with a budget amendment. This is the second reading. And this ordinance 2020-279 is an ordinance of the town of Unicoi, amending the budget ordinance for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2020 and ending June 30, 2020.
21.
Oh, I'm sorry, 21. I apologize. Whereas the town of Unicoi adopted the fiscal year 2021 budget by passage of ordinance number 2020-274 on June 15, 2020. And whereas pursuant to the Tennessee State Constitution, Section 24 of Article 2, no public money shall be expended except pursuant to appropriations made by law. And whereas pursuant to the municipal budget law of 1982, as found in the Tennessee Code annotated section 6-56-209, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen has the authority to authorize the budget officer to transfer monies from one appropriation to another within the same fund. And whereas project priorities for the fiscal year 2020 through 2021 have evolved. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the town of Unicoi, Tennessee, that changes be made to the fiscal year 2021 budget. There are details attached in each of the Alderman packets. I'll entertain a motion. Oh, I gotta have a public hearing. Public hearing open. Public comments? Hearing none, public hearing closed. May I entertain a motion, please?
I would like to entertain a motion for a discussion. We've gone through the first reading with the last board, and this board may not be up to speed, and let Debbie kind of explain that portion to us.
Okay, I need a motion and a second before discussion. So Alderman Radford, you've given us a motion. Can I have a second? And we'll open discussion.
I second it.
Okay, seconded by Judy Ray. Ms. Kessler, are you up
Okay.
for that, please?
We have a Tennessee Care grant, which is a COVID-related grant that the town of Unicoi was awarded based on their population, and it was $53,655. We have already budgeted that for different departments, and we were allowed to use some of our police expenditures for that. We've already started getting reimbursement as we've submitted expenses, and we actually will submit a little bit more than what the total amount was that we were allotted in case they can come back and give us even more money. So that's what the general fund budget amendment is for. And then same thing with the kitchen. It's a Tennessee Care Corona grant of $95,000, and it is 100% reimbursable grant. Will not cost the town any money. And so that is the $95,000 budget amendment for the kitchen. So, and again, this is second reading for that budget amendment.
Any questions, further discussion?
The first one, like, was that replacement for employee wages or that supplemental? How did that break down?
Well,
You don't have to be exact, just,
okay, there's a sheet behind the ordinance that shows, for example, this equipment that we have that we're using, the TV, we didn't have this before.
Right.
All this was COVID related,
we had to start doing that. So we were able to use that expenditure and get reimbursed for it. And it could not be items that you already had budgeted, which we didn't have budgeted. So we were able to use that for the legislative, and I'm having that department reimbursed because it is for the board. Anything that the Welcome Center has bought, purchased, plexiglass, cleaning supplies, gloves, masks, that sort of thing, that's also covered. And we tried to split it out, and most of the cost too, we could use in it from the police department. So that would just be extra money that will alleviate some of the expenditures that we have.
What you're saying is additional operational needs due to COVID is basically
Yes.
what you're trying to say.
Right.
Is that good?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then Debbie, that would be no cost to the town, correct?
The $95,000, is that when you're talking about the grant?
Yes.
Yes, that was just a grant that's called the Tennessee Care Corona Grant, correct? For the kitchen. And so that's not of any cost to the town.
All right, does that conclude questions and discussion? We have a motion on the floor to accept budget ordinance, or ordinance 2020-279.
I second it.
Okay, so we are going to go for the vote.
Okay. Alderman Bennett,
Yes.
Alderman Radford,
Yes.
Alderman Ray,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Buller.
Yes. New business, we have ordinance 2020-280. It will be the first reading on an ordinance adopting and enacting a codification and revision of the ordinances of the town of Unicoi, Tennessee. This is, I'll read down a little bit. Whereas some of the ordinances of the town of Unicoi are obsolete, and whereas some of the other ordinances of the town are inconsistent with each other and are otherwise inadequate, and whereas the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the town of Unicoi, Tennessee has caused its ordinances of a general, continuing, and permanent application or of penal nature to be codified and revised, and the same are embodied in a code of ordinances known as the Unicoi Municipal Code. That is the purpose of this ordinance. It is required that it be in the form of an ordinance, that all of our code in the town of Unicoi be put together or codified into one unit. Is that satisfactory?
Unless some member of the board wants the entire ordinance to be read.
It's included in your packet. Would you like to have any further reading on that? Any alderman want continued reading? Okay, you have that in your packet, have that available to you. I'll entertain a motion then.
So moved.
Roger Cooper, who makes the
Second.
motion?
Second.
Alderman Radford. Any further discussion?
I will say that if I'm not mistaken, the last time the code was put out was 2010. I think, am I correct?
Mhm.
So it's been 10 years. So been a lot of changes over the years. So it's a good thing.
Any further discussion, questions? Ms. Kessler, will you call for the vote?
Alderman Bennett,
Yes.
Alderman Radford, Alderman Ray,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Buller.
Yes. Okay. Now, next on the agenda is for your consideration is resolution 2020-320, or excuse me, 2020-319, the employee Christmas bonus. We have got that resolution in your packet as well. A resolution of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the town of Unicoi, Tennessee for the employee Christmas bonus. Be it resolved that the Board of Mayor and Aldermen hereby wishes to thank all the employees of the town of Unicoi for their efforts in making this town a better place for the citizens. At such time the board deems appropriate, they may approve a special compensation to all employees. Having said this, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen hereby approves a $200 Christmas bonus to all employees. This resolution was duly considered and adopted by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen in and for the town of Unicoi, Tennessee, the 16th day of November, 2020. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion for approval for the Christmas bonus.
Second.
Second by Alderman Cooper. Any further discussion or questions?
One thing, last year we had an intern from MTAS and we also did a bonus for them. Would you like to do that again this year and include the intern?
I'd make a motion for that. I've seen her work and I think she's doing a great job. Anytime I've seen her, she's been very active in what she's doing.
Alderman Radford, I'll consider that to be an amended motion to include the intern.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Cooper?
Second.
Okay, so our motion on the floor has been slightly amended. It will be a $200 Christmas bonus to each employee of the town of Unicoi, including our intern who is currently working with us.
Yes.
Okay, so that is the motion on the floor. What?
Can I say something?
Yes.
Can I take my Christmas bonus and give it to my unpaid, split it, give it to my unpaid reserve?
Once it is delivered to you, you have absolute privilege to do with as you wish, and very honorable, I might add. Okay, all right. So we have a motion on the floor.
Vote on the amendment.
Oh, I thought, okay, we have to,
I have a question.
yes, go ahead.
He just brought up a question in my mind. How does this affect his part-time folks?
Part-time are employees that will receive the bonus.
So all of his
The
part-time,
volunteer folks would not be included.
okay. I didn't know if there's
Is that
full-time
correct?
or part-time, how that worked.
Yes. Part-time are considered employees.
Okay, so it's been brought to my attention that we need to vote on the amended.
If he, Wanda,
Yes.
she amended her motion. He amended his motion to include the intern. So we're good.
Are we ready for a vote on that amended
Yes.
motion? Okay, then please, Ms. Kessler, if the conversation is complete, let's go for the vote.
Alderman Bennett,
Yes.
Alderman Radford,
Yes.
Alderman Ray,
Yes,
Vice Mayor Cooper.
Yes.
Mayor Bolton.
Yes. Okay, congratulations to all the hardworking employees of the town of Unicoi. Thank you.
Mayor, on a point of order,
Yes.
you voted to amend what was presented in the packet for the resolution. So now you vote on the full motion.
I thought we were complete. I
I did
misunderstood.
too. I thought
we were
once they
complete.
amended their motion,
Well,
which one of them that we would vote.
That's a fine point of parliamentary procedure we struggled with before, that if what is presented is a suggestion of change that's accepted by the original movement and the person who made the second, then you can go with the point of change, or the suggestions of change, and just vote on it once. However, we called it amendments, and in addition, we didn't really state the motion fully, so I think it'd be better to vote on it again.
Okay, so can we count the vote we just took for the amendment that we amended the original motion?
You amended the motion,
Okay.
so now vote on the full motion.
So the full motion, we're going to bring back to the board for a vote. The full motion is that each employee, full-time and part-time, of the town of Unicoi will receive a $200 Christmas bonus, and this Christmas bonus will be extended to the intern who has been working in the town. Okay, now, any further discussion on that? Okay, so we're ready to call for the vote on that.
Alderman Bennett.
Yes.
Alderman Radford,
Yes.
Alderman Ray,
yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Bolton.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Keep it straight. Okay, continuing down now, we have resolution 2020-320, which is a hazardous mitigation plan. This is fairly routine. It was brought out of Unicoi County's emergency, there you are, emergency management office to our new illustrious emergency management officer is Jenny Irwin. So thank you.
Thank y'all for letting me here tonight. Congratulations on y'all's new positions. Look forward to the bright future Unicoi's gonna have. The hazard mitigation plan is something we are required to do by FEMA and TEMA every 10 years. And before you is the plan that for the next few years. This is a plan that if we do have a disaster, snow, rain, tornado, of any source, that we can apply for federal funding to recover some of our expenses, we have to have this mitigation plan in set and ink, and they have to have it on file in Washington DC. So what you're proving tonight doesn't cost any money, but it may bring some money back in case we was to have a disaster.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
And anybody who wants it, I'll be glad to email. I think it's like 125 pages. Be glad to email it to you if anybody wants to see it.
Sorry for all the questions,
Oh, that's
but
great.
is there going to be a website that the average citizen that has an issue can just say, what do I do now? And then go to your website or your Facebook site and see what to do? They can't call someone?
They can call. Right now, they'd have to call and ask, and I'll be glad to answer any
You
questions.
know, we got the train and we got the interstate and it's
Yeah.
blocked periodically, and a lot of people just don't know what to do.
What to do because it was.
So I just wondered if we had a web page maybe, or a Facebook page or something people could go look at and see issues.
Okay.
I'm just,
That's
that's a what if.
Yeah, that's something we need to look at for the future. And that's one of the things that we are looking at for emergency management. Everyone else has a website. And county is actually working on their website now, refreshing it. And there's supposed to be a little subsection there for emergency management this time. And then hopefully we will have a Facebook account for them. We're getting a lot of the little things taken care of as we go, but my number's out there. If anybody needs to get hold of me, and we'll make sure that anybody has any questions or anything, we'll do what we can to assist.
Mayor, that could be put on our website too, couldn't it?
Link to, that'd be great.
And also the school, have you had any interface with the elementary school principal? There's a disaster, what,
They
who contacts who?
Tammy Larkey is the planner for the school system, and she and I have already talked about the Unicoi school system and the high school. And we're planning on a meeting here in the near future to refresh her. They redo theirs every year and look at them to see if anything's changed, their emergency plans. And just this past week, I met with the daycare out here. They're refreshing their plans for the new change of the ownership of their first year. So we'll be able to help whenever.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Irwin. Would any of the aldermen, do y'all feel the need for me to read any portion of this? You understand that this is, for the most part, routine, but it is very individualized for Unicoi County, thereby impacting the town of Unicoi as well. It's been included in the assessment. Have y'all been able to review satisfactorily? Any aldermen want any further reading of this ordinance before, this resolution before we give it some consideration? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve of resolution 2020-320. It is a resolution adopting the Unicoi County, Tennessee Hazard Plan and authorizing the mayor of the town of Unicoi to execute all documents necessary and appropriate to effectuate the purposes and adoption of this plan. So that being said, let's, any further discussion, or we'll call for a vote.
One just had problems.
Okay. All right, let her go tend to what's going on in there.
She's back, I believe.
Okay, but we'll wait just a minute to make sure she's on board before we proceed.
Okay, she's okay. Alderman Bennett,
I'm gonna verify, Alderman Radford, you good?
Wanda, can you hear us?
I can hear her through the door. I can't hear her through the mic.
Mine went completely down and I couldn't really hear what you were saying other than if you wanted anyone to go over the mitigation that we
Okay.
didn't understand. That's where I'm at with it. Mine went completely down.
Okay, you're really well caught up because I think anything I said after that was pretty much a ramble. I
Okay.
just read the title of the ordinance. I just reread the title of the ordinance. Once again, asked if there was any additional discussion, and there did not appear to be any, but I wanted to make sure that you did not have any comments since you weren't able to communicate with us there for a moment. If everybody is okay, I think we are ready to call for a vote.
Alderman Cooper made the motion and Alderman Ray made the second. Alderman Bennett?
Yeah.
Alderman Radford?
Yes.
Alderman Ray?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Boyd?
Yes. Okay, resolution 2020-321 is next up for consideration. It is a bridge project with TDOT over RW Estates, on RW Estates Road. This has been an ongoing project, or at least it's been in the works for a few months, couple months anyway. I know that some of you will be able to speak more detailed about it than I can, but let's just at least get the start of that ordinance, or excuse me, resolution. This is a resolution to approve the proposal of the Tennessee Department of Transportation to construct a bridge designated as state project number 86SAD1-S3-05 TDOT Bridge number 860A4810001 RW Estates Drive over Dry Creek. I think this is a result of a bridge inspection. Would that be correct? There have been some bridge inspections. This bridge was determined to be not load worthy.
Originally, I think there was some funds available to improve bridges. And then there was some further looking at the process of how to address the issues with that bridge. There were some serious structural concerns. And so it developed as TDOT was reviewing this, that ultimately they came up with funds to replace the bridge in total. So that's what the process is, as you'll see outlined in the proposed. This is not ready to go out yet for advertisement for bids, although it's entitled that. But the incorporated document sets out what the scope of work is. And then in addition to that, Mayor Boyd, there is the full grant book here and manual that's incorporated in this, if anyone would like to take a look at that further information.
Some more light reading will do.
Yeah, I've been through it. If anybody else that wants to read it, I'll be happy to make that available.
So, Attorney Schultz, if you will, or Davis, I'm sorry, it just the bid that's attached to this ordinance is not ready to go out yet, but no bids can go out until we at least pass a resolution that we want to move forward.
That's correct.
Correct.
The board has to adopt this project even though it's 100% from the state as far as funding, and it's a town of Unicoi project if the board chooses to go forward with it. And that advertisement document is attached just to contain the scope of work, and the resolution also makes reference to the grant documents, which are contained in the grant and the grant manual here.
Okay, so let's do a motion.
I'll make the motion that we
Okay.
move forward with the resolution.
Okay, second.
Second, I second it.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Bradford. Any further questions? This isn't going to happen tomorrow. There's still going to be some pieces, but this is the process to move forward. Any other discussion?
I think it would be nice if we would tell how much money the grant is for and how much is out of our pocket. You have that information?
We have to spend almost $65,000 to cover the engineering cost. And you cannot get reimbursement for that until it actually goes out for bid. We originally had gotten an estimate of about $500,000, a little bit more than that. I think that's what we budgeted, somewhere around there. And we got a revised cost estimate from the engineering, and it's up to 700 and some thousand.
So what will be our part, the town's part? Do you remember roughly?
No.
Done. Okay,
It's 100% TDOT
very good.
grant.
Excellent.
100% total reimbursement grant. Okay, any further comments or discussion? To accept for, let me just read the title again. 220, 321, a resolution to approve the proposal by TDOT to construct a bridge over RW Estates Drive over Dry Creek. Call for the vote.
Alderman Bennett?
Yes.
Alderman Radford?
Yes.
Alderman Ray?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes. Okay, next on the agenda is resolution 2020-322. It is a resolution to sanction and approve a Christmas at the Caboose event. COVID has wreaked havoc on all of our traditional events. So briefly, I'll just read through resolution to sanction the Town of Unicoi Christmas at the Caboose. Be it resolved by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the Town of Unicoi to sanction the new Christmas at the Caboose event to be held on December 12th, 2020, and temporarily close Unicoi Village Place from approximately 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. the same day, except for emergency traffic. Whereas the Town of Unicoi desires to support the Christmas at the Caboose, and whereas the Town of Unicoi recognizes that having this event helps establish our goals for increasing tourism within our town, Unicoi County and surrounding communities, whereas the Town of Unicoi recognizes that having this event increases tax revenue for our town, Unicoi County and surrounding communities. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen approve this resolution to sanction the Christmas at the Caboose event December 12th, 2020, 6 p.m., 9 p.m. at Unicoi Village Place. We authorize the mayor and the city recorder to enter into any and all necessary agreements, arrangement, and assurances to accomplish the successful Christmas at the Caboose event. And this is being presented to us on November 16th. Christmas at the Cabin, I think, and we're going to have a history report. It was shared with me that Christmas at the Cabin was deemed a possibly COVID risky event. Christmas parade as well, having the COVID risk associated with it, has been canceled. And prior to me assuming the role of mayor, there had been discussion for Ashley Shelton to try to develop a new event. We have been in contact, and this is something that Ashley had developed that is more COVID friendly. It'll be lights. It'll be like a little small speedway and lights event for citizens, a little more COVID friendly. But since we're not able to do a lot of our other events, we weren't able to have the 4th of July, Freedom Fest, and those sorts of things. So that being said, is there a motion that I can consider for this event, to sanction this event?
I make a motion for the approval.
Thank you, Alderman Radford. A second?
Is there a cost associated with this?
Let's do a second and we'll discuss.
Second.
Okay. Yes, there will be cost associated. This won't be any additional cost, and I know you've probably talked to her about some financial things. There won't be any, not have Strawberry Festival, the fact that we did not have Freedom Fest. There has been money in those budgeted areas that have not been spent for other events that have not been provided. And so that those monies are there. It won't be pulling any extra money in from anywhere. So there is financial resource available in light of the cancellation of a lot of our other events. Okay. Any more questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, then we will call for a vote on resolution 2020-322 to sanction the Town of Unicoi Christmas at the Caboose event.
Alderman Bennett?
Yeah.
Alderman Radford?
Yes.
Alderman Ray?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Now we get to consideration and approval of Mountain Harvest Kitchen CAFB cooler expansion project with some equipment bids that have been included in your packet. There was reference made to a $95,000 grant money, CARE and Corona. that would be attached to this cooler purchase. Bids were accepted last week or earlier this week. Aldermen, you have information in your packets regarding those bids. If we would like to have some discussion, and we have our kitchen manager present as well. If you want to entertain a motion, we can have some discussion if you have questions. Motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Okay, now discussion. Anybody have any questions? Lee Manning, if you would like to offer input, or Alderman, if you have questions, it's an opportunity to have a conversation about this.
I would like to offer a suggestion, Ms. Manning. For the slab, I think we need to probably get a hold of some engineering group to do your slab design, layout, the electrical hookup, other things required, and you know, I think we've been using Ty Singer and Hampton. I think you probably need to do that before you go out for bids on the slab.
So we're actually duplicating the cooler that we currently have, and so we have those architectural drawings that we are just using for this new project portion. So we should be okay without having to get new drawings done. And so my hope is that we are collecting quotes for the cement work, and my hope is it will be less than the amount that needs to be bid out. We're on a super tight timeline, and so that was what we intended. And so we still haven't received those in yet.
Your quotes, not bids necessarily, but quotes for the cement slab.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So hopefully the cost of that will be.
How is this new slab going to tie into the old slab or to the building?
It will be port adjacent to it.
Or
Port adjacent to the current slab.
where's your electrical hookup going to be, underground over
The
here?
electrical will be on top.
But, I still really think you probably need to get an engineering drawing done on the new one, just to be safe. Just to be safe. And it shouldn't cost that much.
Well, so
Have,
I'm happy to talk to Dwight and make that.
and I'm just gonna ask a question. I haven't seen the prior, you say there's a prior architectural drawing for the slab,
I do have those.
and this is an exact cooler.
Correct.
Just repeating the slab and the cooler.
Correct.
And how old is the drawing that was there?
Probably 2015, 2016.
Okay, so not that long ago, and it's been functional,
Yes.
good and functional since then?
Yes.
Is it something that we ought to recommend to the kitchen committee? Or do you feel like it interferes with our ability to consider this bid approval, or?
To me, it doesn't interfere with our approval, but I just think it'd be
Okay.
the appropriate thing to do, just to go ahead and
It
get it.
would be, for me, the liability involved, the price would not be much to get a new drawing and new drawing on the electrical, because, you know, if you flip this building over and build another one just like it, it's gonna vary.
Well, and this one's, yeah, been here a long time.
And it's just an insurance policy that we won't have any problems out of it. That's all we're saying.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, but that sounds to me to be a side topic, not necessarily included in this approval for this bid,
It's
or is it?
ever who the contractor is going to be, it specifies to that contractor, here's your schematic and here's what we expect
Right.
of you before you get a check.
But these bids are not including the slab. These bids are only
That's
installation.
correct, yeah, so the
and
bid that you have in your packet today is just for the cooler equipment, the condenser unit and the evaporator unit. So the cost of the slab and the cost of the electrical, we're quoting out and doing separately for a purpose of time. So we could have done it all together, but we didn't have enough. We thought we could get some of that done before we would actually take it to bid. That didn't happen. But so that's why we have it separated.
But that drawing sets the standard of how the job's supposed to be finished.
Okay, and
Is that-
correct me if I'm wrong, Alderman, any Alderman interject if you can disagree with this, but in my mind, I see this as two separate projects. If we approve the bid for the cooler freezer itself, that's one thing. Now, we obviously can offer our recommendation that we step up some of the consideration for the slab, but I see them as two separate things. Okay, so Alderman Radford, just kind of y'all give me a heads up nod. Or have we communicated our concerns for the slab? And Lee is here to hear that. Are we good there? Okay, that's gonna be a separate issue. I think
Yeah.
freezer bid is something separate that we're gonna have to consider tonight.
In the minute, it should reflect that there was recommendation that the slab have a certified drawing.
Okay. Okay.
That's just the
Minutes will
insurance policy that everybody that contributes work to it. Everybody's working on the same page. You know, you just get the slab poured and it's off 1 inch and something doesn't work, condenser or evaporator doesn't
don't want
work. And
that,
it's like,
no.
well, your slab's wrong.
Yeah,
And-
okay,
and we just don't want to issue. We just want it right.
I got it, I get it. I appreciate that. Minutes will reflect that. Okay, we've had a motion and a second
Question.
to approve. Call for the question. I won't read it again. Okay.
Alderman Bennett,
Yeah.
Alderman Radford,
Yes.
Alderman Ray,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Bull.
Yes. Okay. All right, so we are down toward the end of our agenda. Number 20 is reports of officers and committees. This may look a little different than how you've experienced prior. Economic development, they have not met recently. We will have a representative there. Disaster emergency plan and railroad safety, Mr. Irwin is still here. I think he said that's a community emergency planning group
It's the local emergency planning committee,
that meets how often?
maybe twice a year.
Twice a year. We'll have representation there. History committee, I believe we have Lisa Willis with us that would like to give a report. Come on up, Lisa. And Lisa, if I misspoke about y'all canceling Christmas at the cabin or those sorts of things, you clear all of the.
Oh, please don't, because I can't breathe.
I know, okay.
Yeah.
And the veterans
Thank
dinner.
you.
There was so much question about the veterans dinner too, so.
Yeah. I know, I think that Ashley asked you something about it, because didn't get asked about veterans stuff. But the veterans thing, you know, Ashley said something.
To me.
Oh,
Debbie.
that's Debbie. I know it was a Debbie.
So that's since then, so. I don't know about that.
One of you Debbies.
Yeah.
Okay. We had the meeting the other night, and I wanted to let you know that I've been part of the history group for about 11 years now. And for everybody that don't really know what we do, our purpose is to educate and the people about the history of our area and to try to preserve the history too. And there's a lot of hard work goes into doing that. And we have trying to furnish the cabin with some pieces from the 1790s to 1830s. And we hope to get several more pieces purchased to where we can have it and open it and do tours and do some educational programs for everybody to learn their history around this area and tie it into different areas that we have. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I got tickle in my throat. But we did talk about the Veterans Day lunch. We're going to do a drive-through and pick up only. We're not going to have, everybody come in. It's just no way of doing that. And it's going to be Saturday, the 21st from 11 to 1. It's free to the veterans. And we're going to have the hero sandwiches with the fixings. We're going to have the soups and dessert and drink. And that we will do donations if anybody else wants to come by and get a lunch. And we'd like to have kind of a heads up for how many we might have. So I think Trish You're supposed to call Trish and let her know. Because Ashley is supposed to be getting it out about everything.
And that's gonna be at the Tourist Information Center?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the Christmas event he was talking about, we were going to be doing the treat bags for Santa to give out.
Okay, okay.
So we will be doing the treat bags, since we're not getting to do the old fashioned Christmas. And with all this virus stuff, and if it calms down, maybe we'll get more things out where we can talk more about our history and stuff.
Do some more projects.
But I'd like to invite anybody that wants to come to our meeting. It's the second Thursday of every month. We just now started back. Then we did the 6 foot mask and all that stuff. So we done very well that night. We had about 10 people.
Good, and it meets at the cabin at 6?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And we invite anybody that wants to come.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. Any questions? Thank you, Lisa, very much for that update. Okay. First Tennessee Human Resource Agency, we don't have any report there, and we will be making an appointment for that. Planning Commission, Board of Zoning Appeals, I believe Ms. Deborah Kessler is going to give us an update on that.
Okay, the planning commission met on November the 2nd, and they did an approval of the minutes from October the 5th. The new business that was discussed was continuing education on Board of Zoning ordinance and some related classes that I think I've mentioned to some of you all on email. Other business was discussion regarding the mapping and containing all the town and Unicoi roads. I think Phyllis Fox is working on that, maybe with Jimmy Irwin, and getting all the roads named. And then on the planning commission, which met on November 2nd as well, and approval of the September 14th minutes, which I think that might be an error, or unless they didn't meet on October, they may have Board of Zoning and Appeals. So their new business was officer elections. As per Article 3 of the Town of Unicoi Board of Zoning and Appeals, nominations for officers were to be held in March, and that did not happen. So they ended up keeping the same officers at that meeting, and that was it for that as well.
Okay, thank you. Animal Welfare Board, Mr. Cooper.
Okay, as of last week, we have a total of 100 cat or kittens and 30 dogs. And of those, we have 91 cat and kittens in-house, 5 in foster, 4 at PetSmart. And on the dogs, we've got 20 in-house, 10 foster. Our revenues last month of October was $19,186. Our expenses was $19,857. So our expenses were more than our revenue. We've been, as everyone else have been, we've been shut down with COVID-19 on fundraisers and many other things we usually have, just like everybody else has. We've had employees out for the 14 days like everyone else has had. So we're struggling, and we've got, I think, around 13,000 in the bank right now. And that's mainly due to the lack of having any fundraisers. So we're getting by, but we still are struggling, and we're going to come up with some funds. So that's good.
Thank you. I attended the 911 board on Friday afternoon. I think the primary focus and direct impact on the town of Unicoi will be, I don't have a really good word, Mr. Irwin, a revamping, a reorganization, access lines, FCC lines. It'll affect radios that the town of Unicoi uses as well. Right now, the town of Unicoi is
Future
using
communication devices and repeaters that will be needed to be put up probably in the next year. But I said, not only the police department, but the volunteer fire department and your public works.
So there will be a lot of coordination that goes on with that, that we will have to be on board and need to work through all those details. So that's going to probably be one of the biggest impacts. I think that some of that's going to have. So we'll be looking on that. Look at that's like Really up there. Okay. All right. 911, that's that. Mountain Harvest, you have a report in your packet that all the aldermen have been able to see and consider. Lee, if you have anything you'd like to highlight, otherwise, if you've given us that packet, we can review that. If we have questions, get with you. You okay with that?
If you have questions, get with me, and I'd love to show the new older women around the facility and introduce you to some of the
Yeah, we need to
users.
come and do it too.
Yeah.
Okay. Parks and Rec Tourism, there is a report in your packet as well. If you have continued questions, reach out to Town Hall or Ashley. She was just not available tonight, under the weather somewhat, but you have that in your packet as well. She typically stays fairly busy, and she is working on the Christmas at the Caboose with all the lights and all, and I'm working with her on that. Police report. Mr. Schwank. You bring it up, you come up, you give it to us, highlight anything you'd like to highlight.
I haven't made any copies or anything.
Okay.
I've been out of town, so I haven't really got to type anything up for the day.
Well, we're glad you're here. Just share the good
Yeah, I was
news.
out of town. I was at the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Officer Association meeting in Gatlinburg. It's a conference. We have to go over all the training and everything we have to do for next year. Minimum standard trainings. There's a lot of changes coming down the pipe with that. And a lot of the stats and stuff we've made since last meeting, made 15 arrests. And an officer involved assault. We had an arrest on that. A lot of new updates is for the state with training is we have to do a lot of de-escalation training and stuff. Because we have minimum standards each year to remain certified, and they haven't been changed in a long time. I don't think they have. And now they have. They've been changed, and there's like I said, de-escalation. We have to do 4 hours community service with a different group of people we wouldn't normally be involved with, and it's a lot of things that's changed. We have a 97% case closure rate by the state. It's pretty high. Have all of our TIBERS reports and stuff, and that's pretty good. 97%. Officers all went through TASER certification last month, and I don't know if I mentioned we had 15 arrests since last May. Several of them felony, a lot of them felony, drug cases and leaving the scene, and then some aggravated assaults. That's about it.
I'm busy.
Yeah, and congratulations, y'all, and y'all come over and see me and show you around the police department. Do right along. Take somebody to jail.
Just not me, please. Okay.
I don't think you mean you wrong.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Andy. All right, municipal court report, you have that in your packet as well. If you have any particular questions, we're going to try to adopt some of this as our procedure moving forward. So please be careful to look at your packets carefully. If you have questions, this would be your opportunity to ask those, okay? Recorder's report as well in the packet. If you, again, same thing applies. If you have any particular questions, be prepared to, you can ask them here. You can always call as soon as you get your packet. You can always call and follow up, but we're going to have those included in the packets, okay, for the sake of time. We can all read. And then Ms. Kessler, though, will need to give us our financial report that is required.
Okay, we'll start with the balance sheet from the general fund, and I usually go over the amount of cash that we have, which is about $1,076,000. If you'll notice that in your fund balance for restricted street aid, we've adjusted that. And I'll kind of go over some of that for you, since you all, some of you are new. We had budgeted in this year's budget $108,000, which was a grant that we had received from this Governor Lee's grant, and we kind of broke it down into different street projects. And one of those projects was to take care of Oval Road, which was in pretty bad shape. We were turned down for most of our roads on FEMA because they didn't meet the qualification for the level of, spending on those roads. So we have paved Oval, and the labor from the county and the paving ended up costing about $15,000. And I believe that we had budgeted $30,000, so there's $15,000 left that will go for another road project. We also paved the last third of Whispering Pines, and the labor and the paving was $48,692. So those amounts adjusted our restricted street aid that we have to keep on the balance sheet. So we've spent about $64,000 in total paving and labor that hit in October. The revenue and expenses for the general fund, we had taken in revenue of $145,836. So year to date, we're at $730,987. And our expenditures for the month were $177,626. And year to date was $469,260. So the net income for year to date was $261,737. So that's through the first 4 months, which I think is pretty good. Then we move on to the balance sheet on the kitchen, which each month, if there's any cash in the kitchen, we move that back to the general fund. And their assets are at $16,000, liabilities are at $66,000. On their revenue and expenditures for October, they had $3,906 in revenue, and their expenses were $23,822. So that was a loss of $19,916, and then a year-to-date loss of $49,143. We have started a drug fund this year. Any drug fines or drug-related cash, we had to keep that in a separate fund and not keep it in the general fund. Some of the cash is still pending. In other words, we have not been awarded the cash. We have it on our books, but it's not considered the town of Unicoi until it gets officially awarded by the state of Tennessee. We have not had any expenses in that drug fund, and we had court fines of $41. So we do get some checks from the county, and I think that's what that was, for $41. The next set of financials are the state shared taxes. Our state shared taxes are pretty much in line with the previous year. For the month of October, $28,729. Year to date through October, we've collected $113,411 on state shared taxes. There's a graph behind that to show you the difference between the months, the previous years. And the next graph is the local option sales tax. And this is where I noticed, a significant difference between the previous year of $86,000. Our state shared remained about the same, but the local option went down. So I don't know. I know in the beginning, people were getting their additional unemployment up to like $975, which is significant. Their stimulus was also in that, and so we saw a pretty much a steady income from that, steady revenue. Now I'm wondering if it's starting to go down, local options. So we'll see. And then there's another graph on the next sheet that shows the 3 years as well.
Yes.
Can I have something or ask a question on the kitchen roof that does include that $13,000 or $14,000 that we requested for power grant equipment in that transfer?
I think we've included $7,000.
Okay.
The first reimbursement, did you have 2 reimbursements? Did you have
Well, what I wanted to just clarify was that it included the expense, but not the revenue, well, I've not been reimbursed yet.
Right, we've not gotten reimbursed for that. And it
That's
was,
why that number
was
was
there
so high.
two requests for reimbursement or just one?
There's one out right now, I believe, and there will be two that cover that equipment debt, so,
Okay.
but yeah. That's
Yeah, that revenue's not in there because we haven't got reimbursed for that.
Okay. And that's coming on.
Yes.
I mean, that'll be showing up.
Right.
Okay, all right, thank you, thank you. Okay, thank you, Debbie, for that. Do I have a motion to approve? Okay, Mrs. Alderman Bennett made a motion, second.
Second.
Ms.
Second.
Ms. Radford, thank you. Any further discussion?
I have a suggestion, maybe to help everyone, all the new members out for December meeting. Would it be possible for you to generate a report showing what our budget line items are and how much we spent to date on it, to give everybody a chance to catch up on it? I think that'd be helpful.
To do that.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, then we will vote to approve the financial report. Call for the vote.
Alderman Bennett?
Yes.
Alderman Radford?
Yes.
Alderman Ray?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Gordon?
Yes. Okay, we are winding down. Any announcements anyone would like to make? Any Alderman with an announcement?
I have some announcements.
Okay,
wanna
you
first?
go right ahead. No, you go right ahead.
Okay, just wanted to mention again about the 2020 virtual sessions for newly elected officials. I've gotten something from Alderman Bennett about attending 4 sessions. The deadline for registration is November 19th, so if anyone wants to do that, let me know. As I've said before, Erica, our planner, First Tennessee Development District, has sent us some additional training for the Planning Commission or any board, board aldermen that want to have some training on planning things. We've talked about having a work session on the second Monday of the month at 5:30, just to kind of catch up and talk about different projects and maybe go over some of the grants. And because there's been some changes that I would like to make you all aware of in that kind of session.
So put that on a calendar. That'll be ongoing for a while, especially, for us to get up to speed on some things. Make sure we're all.
So you can do an
We're all on the
update
same
on all the existing grants?
I would like to, because we have several going on.
Because we all don't know exactly what they all are,
Yeah.
And
Like I said, there's been some changes and, I feel like you all need to be made aware of those.
Okay, get us all on the same page with that. So we will do that the second Monday
Okay.
of December, second Monday of December, okay? Is that right? Is the planning commission still gonna meet on the first or the
It was
second?
going to meet on the Monday, the first Monday.
Okay, so
this
we will do the
be in
second and then
the
DMA
second.
meets on the third. Okay, we had talked about them changing. I knew they had changed the date somewhere in there. Okay, Lois, I think you had a couple things you wanted us to let the board know about and bring us up to speed on.
Yeah, some legal developments, and normally these are addressed in executive sessions, but these are some items that in the interest of Mayor Rowland's desires to have everything open, anything that I can share with you all in the legal nature as an announcement, I will. And these two matters are things that it's fine for it to be known, I don't think it affects anything in regard to litigation. One of those is that you may be aware that the town got sued as the town of Unicoi when the actual property involved and the location where the issue was the county of Unicoi, not the town of Unicoi. It was an issue within the town, but not on property that we have anything to do with. So a motion to dismiss has been filed on that. It has not yet been granted, but it's a meritorious motion and I expect it to be granted. So I just wanted to let you all know about that. There's some efforts there to try to resurrect that suit going forward with the county as a party, but there's some procedural issues about that. But I do expect the town to be out of that matter. And then secondly, you all may be aware of, and I'll be happy to go over this with anybody that's new, that's not familiar with it. I've made a lot of announcements about it in the past. The town was the beneficiary, side beneficiary, I guess, of a suit that had been brought by the district attorney's offices in behalf of all the municipalities and counties in the area. It's known as the Purdue Pharma litigation. There's some other defendants, but what that really revolves around is the opioid crisis that our country faced. It kind of seems like it pales in comparison since we've been through so much with COVID, but there was a lot of misery in the country and a lot of hurt. And so through those efforts, basically a very, very, very large entity and some others acting in the same fashion, those flooding of our country with opioids has been curtailed. And what's happened with Purdue Pharma is they filed bankruptcy. So you've got an actor that wasn't really concerned about how much of their product was flooding the market and causing some undue hardship on our people, are no longer in that business. And so the vast resources that they have, we've pursued diligently, making sure that the town of Unicoi's law enforcement investment, to the extent that any law enforcement agency gets reimbursed, that we get reimbursed some of that. And you might be interested to know that I had to look this up while this was ongoing. The town's total investment at the time this process started was just shy of $1 million during the years that we've been operating. And of course, a lot of that, I guess almost all of that, was before we actually had a police department. So that was our investment as a town's efforts in supporting law enforcement. But at any rate, we just got in some, however much that equates to, 300 or 400 pages or so of developments in the bankruptcy litigation, because this has become an industry all across the country in dealing with this problem. We are addressed in here in these pages at about page 129 or 130 in a schedule of all of the entities across the country that are involved in this. And right now, where that appears to be progressing is that Purdue Pharma's assets are going to be liquidated and be parceled out, and so we want to keep our name in that pot if we can. But it does look like that perhaps will be moving towards using these monies, at least in part, if not in total, towards rehabilitation and helping the folks that were so badly impacted by the addiction problems with these drugs. So just want to give you all an update on that, so you can get it. I know that's probably a lot more than you care about it, but I don't know any other way to make you aware of what's going on there.
And this has been going on for a while.
And of course, I've got all this information for you to take a look at it.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I have one final announcement, I guess. There is going to be a WebEx meeting with TDAC tomorrow regarding air quality associated with a permit that Summers Taylor is seeking from the state, a permit to allow the emissions from the production of asphalt at a plant they would like to establish up on this end of our town, our town. It is WebEx. This is a mandated process they have to go through. I think this is their last permit they're required to have before they can begin.
Do you want me to respond to that?
If you'd like to, go ahead.
They made several permit applications for the air quality issue. There's some other regulatory things they have to go through, including the zoning and other requirements in the town of Unicoi. But what they have relayed to us when we inquired through their council was that before they began any construction, before they did anything else, regardless of what the outcome of this is, that they would get with the town of Unicoi and work with us on those issues. Where the regulation stands now, it does not appear that the construction they want to undertake would move forward because of the way our regulatory process is set up. They have 2 acres of ground where there is a plant that was in existence prior to the time
that the town sought to regulate those things. They have not operated that plant for a while. And so now they are, through the numbers of permits they filed, are seeking to get an air quality permit on another piece of property that they own, which is, because of their acquisition of properties in a row, contiguous to where they operated it before. So that's what the hearing is about tomorrow night, is not so much our regulatory process, but whether the air quality and emission standards folks can grant them the air quality permit. And then the next step is where do they go from there if they are successful in getting that permit.
So it's still a process. They have not officially made any application at the town of Unicoi
They have-
for
to my
land
knowledge, they
use
have not made
or
any request.
anything, but as a newly elected older person, you're probably gonna start getting phone calls if you haven't already.
The meeting's at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, 6 o'clock WebEx. Is that posted on like our website?
It should be.
I got them
on
in
the
an email.
website. I think Ashley's put it on the.
Okay, and you, new Alderman, y'all make sure she has good email and phone numbers, and I think you need to tell them you have a packet for them for payroll or
Let's see,
you.
I've already gotten,
Okay.
Alderman Bennett's,
Okay,
and you have your, it was in an envelope right next
Okay.
to your packet.
direct deposit,
And
those sorts of things.
yours, yes,
Yeah.
right there. And that's payroll information that we need to have to process that.
Okay,
Did
so,
I get this right? No request for the asphalt factory right now? No application?
nothing in the town of Unicoi. They have not made any official request for any land use in the town of Unicoi as of yet.
Ross, do we anticipate that those permits are gonna go through for them? Are we thinking probably they will?
Are you speaking of the towns or the air quality?
Air quality.
Well, I can't speak for the air
No, I
quality
know you
folks,
can't,
and
but
their process is very complicated. I do know from the information they've given us that they don't look at it site specific. They look at it in terms of the overall air quality effect, and those parcels are close enough so they don't look at this new location as a separate location. And of course, they've been made fully aware with copies and multiple meetings as to what our regulations are. One would think that the local regulatory processes would have some effect on their air quality concerns. But from what I'm gleaning from their communication with us, although they're aware of all of those things, they don't see this as a separate site. They see it as the same site within the air quality environmental world, which is, different regulations than we have.
okay. It's a good answer, but ooh,
Okay.
I got
Alderman Cooper.
I have an interesting thought for y'all. In the district of the town of Unicoi, our voting percentage of all eligible voters was 76.6%. That was the best in the county, as I recall. You've got the sheets on it, I think.
Wow.
Am I right? 76.6. That's pretty good.
Wow. Okay, if there is nothing further, a motion to adjourn.
I move.
Make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Can I bring his packet back?